All right, we've arrived back at the location of the boat. We have put on, my assistant is here with me today, but we put on our little shaft nose cone. That's reverse threads there. So lefty tighty on that one. And we put our cone in. Yeah, you can see the cone, can you? Our little cone in there. Oops, sorry, buddy. All right. We get a better picture. See the cone in there? Probably not, but the 3 bolts that go in there. And now we're putting on the little housing here, and then we're gonna reinstall it. So part 2 of the jet pump servicing with the wear ring and the impeller. So this is the install portion of it. All right, do not put your nose cone on before you put this little feed tube together. So you got to put that in, and that slides into the bottom, or else you'll have your nose cone on like we did, and you will have to take it back off like we just did. All right, we're here at the inner workings. You can see your grate there, and there's your shaft. And so the first thing we're going to do is these 4 bolts here, and that little thing that we just put on goes on that guy. Don't forget your little O-ring. Keep that with the little tabs up, and it has a little bit of grease on it. All right, we're putting a little marine grease on the seal and this shaft and our little guy there. Just a wee bit. Just a little there. Now those lock nuts that go on those 4 in the picture, they had no Loctite on them. If you want to be a YouTube hero, you gotta lube up the shaft. All right. We're gonna put the little girl in.
You gotta get that lower right ear below the steering.
Below that one?
Yep.
All right. So then, without getting a bunch of dirt on it,
You're gonna have to find your drive shaft first.
yep. Well, I can't.
Looks like you gotta come up just a little bit. There you go.
Yep. So I think I gotta take it out and turn it, or I gotta get a little device I can spin it through here. Let me see if I can do that.
We can always edit this out, right? Usually I get below them. I go below by the intake grate and I jiggle the shaft a little bit.
Okay.
You gotta...
All right, so at this point, we're trying to line up the shaft with the male shaft side, spline side to the female. And so somebody underneath can have something to move your impeller around. Yep. And then you gotta wiggle it until this all engages here. So it's a little fiddly. So next we'll bolt down these 4 bolts and move on. All right, so we're tightening the pump housing. They are a washer and a lock washer. There. And when we took them off, they were not super duper tight on there. So they're relying on the lock washer. And again, no Loctite. Loctite was found on the threaded rod. So yes, lock nut.
We got the jet pump on here. We can see our little ear from our O-ring there.
Nice.
And then you can feel it just with your finger behind this ear here, you can feel it.
So you know it didn't bend over.
There's a notch for both of these little ears, and you can feel them. And then these ones, you're just relying on hoping they didn't fall out, I guess, because you can't really verify those are there. So.
All right, on to the next step, which is connecting all the linkages up. All right, so we're gonna go with 16 foot-pounds on the pump body because that is what similar jet ski takes for the pump body torque. So that's what we're gonna go with. Get the torque wrench out. All right, well, we'll get this done and then we'll move on to the linkages. All right, so next up we're gonna put the steering nozzle and we're just gonna put it on loosely. And the reason we're gonna do that and not connect that guy up into the top of this right here, that's where that goes. A little bit of grease on there helps. So just leave it all loose at this point and we'll explain why, because we're gonna put the bucket on. And if you do this part first, then you can't get at the drop bolt. So there's no room to get on that and put the bucket in, so we'll show you that. All right, so the next step here is to get this this bucket into place. And we're actually gonna just quickly go over how you would do this if you were disassembling it too. So yeah, so if you're disassembling, start here. So you'd have it just like this, and you would get your IBR arm back there. You'd take that off first. You get to drop down your bucket, okay? And then you can work on taking out the nozzle. And the nozzle has that, and the black piece all the way up there, and just slides right out.
You gotta get these two bolts out.
Yep.
And here, you gotta get your steering shaft off.
Yep.
And then you gotta slide that guy out.
All right, and that guy is just, it slides in, let's see here. Sorry about that, there we'll refocus, but all the way up there, it just slides in from the right side of the screen and slides in to the left.
And once you get your steering nozzle out, like that, then you can loosen up these two bolts that are holding on the bucket, and then you can pull out your...
Yep. So what we're going to do is we're going to start tightening because we're in the reassembly mode. So we're going to tighten those bolts down like that. And then we're going to move on to the next step, which is to get the nozzle tightened down and the steering arm and all that. And then the final and last step, which would be your first step, is that IBR arm on the left that he just moved. All right, so we've got the bottom bolts into our bucket, and Alec is gonna feed that in there. And you can see all the way in the back of the video there is that that little arm.
You don't need to install that just yet though, because it's helpful to be able to move this a little bit and not have that guy all tied in. Okay. So he can just kind of hang out there. We're gonna take our bolts, our shoulder bolts, we're gonna go in right here, and we're gonna get that guy below. This is where you're gonna work a little bit blind because you gotta get the bucket. These are what your bucket rides on, these plastic little rollers.
Ah, okay.
And so they, of course, need to be in their home so that your bolt will go in.
All right, so there's 3 bolts to this stage. There's the one he's working on. Its mate over on the right-hand side of the screen, and then the little steering arm for the bucket. And that,
There's steering nozzle.
yep, steering nozzle, and then so the 3 there. All right, we'll be right back. All right, so we have these 2 bolts tightened, that one and that one. So we have 2 things to do: the steering arm there and the IBR arm. And the important thing when you're lining up the bucket, once you get your, oh, Alec is gonna go ahead and put that, slide that in there, up there. And it slides in, and you can actually tell it's slid in because the little arm comes out that side. And then if you wanna move your hand quick, so the bucket rides on a little round part that attaches to here, and there's a ridge, and it's got to be on this ridge here, not over here. So when you're lining this whole thing up,
See it from the bottom.
all right, and you can see, yeah, you see the little roller arm there. So it has to be aligned in that that little shelf there. All right, so what we're going to do next to finish up, steering arm, and then the IBR arm, and we are done.
Alrighty guys, we're looking at the back of the jet ski and or the back of the switch, and the IBR right now is in the service position. And essentially what that allows you to do is this hole right here in the steering support bracket lines up with the bolt for the IBR arm and the bucket. Without getting that in the service position, you're gonna have a heck of a time trying to get that bolt out because it's physically too long to come out in any other orientation. So how do we get it in service position? Well, we might show you that next.
All right, guys, so to get the IBR arm into the service position, you gotta turn just tap your power there. And then you do the reverse. You do it 3 times. You hold it in. And, okay, hold it in. It says IBR override. You hit mode. And then you do up and down. And you can see how it, the trim tab changes. So, can you hear that?
Yeah, the bucket's moving back.
All right, so I'm going to hand the phone off to Alec.
The intern is back here. So put it all the way down now, like how we had it before. And now they can see that the bucket is lining up with that hole once you get it in the furthest down. And then start taking it back up. So you guys can see that long bolt will never come out if it's in that area right there. So, perfect. That's awesome. Looking good.